Mass and Energy Balance for Biosystem, Module 2, Foundation of Conservation Principles, Segment 2, Counting Extensive Properties in a System. Ismi Lili from School of Life Sciences and Technology, Institut Teknologi Bandung. Previously, we already discussed about the introduction to the conservative laws. And now, in this segment, we will discuss about the counting extensive properties in a system. Counting extensive properties in a system. Counting objects or quantities of extensive properties is the basis of accounting. In engineering system, the counting of objects can be reduced to a few accounting statements, and specifically, many extensive properties, but no intensive properties, can be counted using a counting system. As we learned before, that the extensive properties depend on the size of the system, below is a list of extensive properties that can be counted. Total mass, mass of individual species, mass of individual element, total moles, moles of individual species, moles of individual element, total energy, thermal energy, mechanical energy, electrical energy, net electrical charge, positive electrical charge, negative electrical charge, linear momentum, and angular momentum. All the extensive properties listed in the previous slide can be counted in a counting equation, but only a subset of these extensive properties is always conserved. And here is a complete list of extensive properties that are conserved in all situations except nuclear reaction. The first one is total mass, and second one, mass of individual element, moles of individual element, total energy, net charge, linear momentum, and angular momentum. To set up an accounting or conservation statement, there is three initial steps must be completed. The first one, the extensive property to be counted must be first specified. And the second one, the system and its surrounding must be defined by specifying a boundary. And the third one, the time period must be specified. In other words, the problem solver must select and state the property of interest, system, and time period for the problem at hand. And now we will learn about the first step, specifying the properties. The first step in setting up an accounting or conservation statement is to specify the extensive property. The typical properties can be include a type of mass, energy, charge, or momentum. And the accounting statement is the mathematical equation that capture the same process used to track and count items. First, the same property must be counted in all terms in a single equation. And also, when accounting a particular property, the units of all the items must be the same. The extensive property to be counted must be present in the system of interest. The second step is specifying the system. A system consists of the matter that we identified for investigation, and the system that's set apart from the surrounding we called as universe. And the system boundary, it separates the system from the surrounding. And this is important to defining the system of interest before we begin to solve a problem, because it will affect the condition and our assumption when we solve a problem. The systems are defined by the problem solver based on the needs of the problem. The system can be quite large or quite small. The system also could be already encapsulated as a unit, and the system could also be dispersed or poorly defined in physical terms. For example, the vascular system and the alveoli in the lungs, or the rivers in a country. The system is determined and defined by the system boundary, and the system boundaries should establish or isolate the system for investigation. The system boundaries can be defined to the two types. The first type of boundary is real and tangible. It means that the boundary naturally exists and has a definite border. Such boundary may enclose to the entire object of interest. And the second one, the type of boundary is arbitrarily defined by the problem solver. It can be a sectional area of an object that accurately models the larger object, or one that captures all relevant elements, including the movement of the property of interest across the boundary. The last step is specifying the time period. To set up an accounting statement, a time period must be defined. All elements of the accounting statement must be evaluated over the same time period. And there are two main types of time periods: discrete and finite, and the second one, continuous. For a system with a discrete time period, a clear beginning and the end are apparent. But for the continuous system, no beginning or end is necessarily defined, and the system operates on the continuous basis. In this segment, we already learned how to count extensive properties in a system. So in the last, we should able to write an accounting statement that consists of three steps. The first step, we have to specify the extensive properties. And the second step, we have to define the system and surrounding, and also the system boundary. And the last step, we also have to specify the time period. And for the next segment, we will learn about the conceptual framework for accounting and conservation equation. Until then, I am Lily from Institute Technology Bandung.